So how did Reishakti yoga come about? What's its history? It really developed over many years and over a course of my own spiritual journey. I am a Kriyavan. I learned Kriya. I'm a Kriya disciple of Pragnanananda, and Kriya Yoga is based upon the teachings of the Kriya lineage, which includes Yogananda, the author of Autobiography of a Yogi, of which I hold very, very dear, and a lot of other different elements such as meditation, transcendentalism, and even scientific bilateral stimulation. And how it was discovered was, as a therapist, I had the opportunity to work with a lot of clients. And based upon my teachings of Kriya and Reiki, as I'm a Reiki master as well, and based upon all these teachings, I started incorporating bits and pieces within my therapeutic practice to help people discover spirituality. Oftentimes we find people that are angry with God or aren't spiritual or just don't know how to approach it. So I started incorporating these different bits and pieces of Kriya Yoga, transcendental meditation, and I'm also an EMDR therapist, and EMDR is bilateral stimulation, which helps people with trauma. And I noticed that as I incorporated all these bits and pieces within my practice, amazing things were happening with the clients. There was a spiritual healing taking place. People were discovering their spirituality. They were healing inside. Their families were healing. So as I utilized these different forms, this union, as we discussed, the birth of Reishakti yoga had taken place over this period of time. And that's a little history of the spiritual approach, which incorporates, again, Kriya Yoga, transcendental meditation, bilateral stimulation, and Reiki. So it incorporates this union of different approaches. So let's talk about the 6 principles of Reishakti Yoga. There are 6 principles of Reishakti Yoga which are extremely important. And that, if you've studied Reiki, that actually would probably look pretty familiar to you, because Reiki does have those basic principles as well. It has its own basic principles. But actions speak louder than words. So if you verbalize affirmations, and if you live affirmations, and if you live these principles, they're going to become inherent and innate. And that's really the importance of the principles, the 6 principles of Reishakti Yoga. The first principle of Reishakti Yoga is, I will avoid fear, for it fuels anger. Fear actually does fuel anger. Anger is it stems from fear. So if we avoid fear, we're going to avoid anger innately. The second is, I will avoid worry, for the future has not yet occurred. Now, interestingly enough, if we look to the past, we may mire in depression, we may become depressed. If we look to the future, we become anxious because of that fear of the unknown. So if the future hasn't happened yet, then why worry? So that's the second principle of Reishakti. The third is, I will avoid regret, for the past has taught me valuable lessons. There's no failure in the past. There's always a lesson to be learned. If you've learned something from the past, then there is no regret. You've learned something, and it's very important to keep that positive notion rather than looking at failure. Look at success. I learned something. I have no regrets. The fourth, I will be grateful, for it is my way of returning energy for energy I have obtained. It's just simply that act of being grateful. The universe supplies us energy. Be grateful for that energy and return it. It becomes cyclical and positive. The fifth, I will work honestly and diligently, for it reflects my gratitude for the freedom of life. What a beautiful life we have. It's so important to be honest and positive and work hard rather than dishonest and lazy. Through dishonesty and lazy, nothing gets accomplished. But if we're honest and we work diligently and we keep positive, this is a great practice to live by. And finally, I will live life with kindness and love, for the love I take is the love that I bring. The love I take is the love that I bring. It's so important to love. Bring it to the universe. Again, that cyclical notion of positivity. These are the 6 principles of Reishakti yoga that are very, very important to live by. And I promise that if you work through these principles and visit these principles and affirm with these principles each and every day, you will continue to live positive. You will see definitive change. So that's very, very important for you to follow.